So with that, I am excited to turn it over to our panel. I have a few questions for them to kind of get the ball rolling, but then really we'll turn it over to the audience to ask them any questions you might have. I'll also note, as I'm mindful of time, we have about 10 more minutes here today. I'm also going to drop in the chat, there's an opportunity to sign up for a coffee chat, which is 15 minutes with a fellow, with a current fellow to ask more about the program. So that's also another opportunity to ask even more in the future. So with that, I would love to, I'm going to exit out of our presentation mode and turn to our panel and ask each of you, and maybe we'll start in the same order if you don't mind, starting with Emma. If you wouldn't mind, again, just introducing yourself, again, your major, your hometown, and what initially drew you to the fellowship.
I'm Emma. I'm a cog-sci major minoring in data science. I'm originally from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I was initially drawn to the fellowship because in a lot of my classes, I had learned kind of a more technical background looking at computer science and emerging tech and how that especially relates to cognition and development. But also I've always had kind of an interest in going into healthcare, but not quite pre-med. And so I thought the fellowship would be an amazing way to kind of marry those two interests of mine. And it definitely has been a great way to put a lot of my interests into a practical experience.
And Christian, same question to you.
Yeah, hello again, everyone. My name is Christian. I study data science and public health. And what really drew me to the fellowship was most definitely the community it provided, especially coming from a STEM background. Like not many students look like me on campus or in my classrooms and stuff. And so I definitely wanted to feel like a community I can call home really at the Fung Fellowship. People who are like-minded, people who are curious, people who are passionate about solving issues and doing the betterment for the community. And that's something that really piqued my interest when I was applying to be a fellow. I also come from a little bit of like an art background. Fun fact, I was gonna go to art school instead of Berkeley. So it was a really cool way just to integrate all my different interests in like tech and health, and then just designing for being impactful and just sharing.
Thanks, Christian. Nikita.
Yes, so I'm Nikita again, and I'm from San Clemente, California. So I've always grown up by the ocean, and I've just had a fascination with marine biology since I was young. I've always liked just like sticking my face in with goggles into the ocean when we're out kayaking and all. And so I found that the Fung Fellowship was a really good crossover between learning about conservation efforts and learning about ecology in different ways, as well as learning about how to design technology, because I've never had experience doing that with my major. And I really haven't found any clubs or opportunities like Fung Fellowship because of the amount of project experience you get. And that is something I'm so grateful for, because I'm able to bring it up in interviews now about my teamwork experience. And yeah.
Thanks, Nikita. And Ava.
Yeah, hi guys. So I'm Ava. I'm from Santa Barbara, California, and I'm studying ecosystem management and minoring in GIS. So what drew me to the fellowship was definitely, again, I mentioned this earlier, but like, you know, at Berkeley, like sitting in classes, learning, not a lot of like active engagement with your peers, with your teachers, but Fung allows us to like work in teams, work with industry partners, and kind of gave me more of a glimpse into work I might do post-grad, being able to like see other NGOs and other industry sectors. Also, the community of the fellowship was really exciting to me. The idea to be around not just environmental majors was kind of exciting, and like being able to work with people who are coming from 42 different majors, like it does make it's, I don't know, it's just very interesting engaging with students who have completely different, are coming into the classroom with completely different sets of knowledge.
Wonderful. Thanks all. And just looking at the time, I want to open it up first to your all's questions. If you don't mind muting yourself and saying your question or posting in the chat, I'm happy to say it forward as well.
I had a question just about some of the project implementation. So it seems like y'all are working with local communities a lot and just y'all are actually doing some real work. And I know sometimes when you implement a project, there's a lot of maintenance work that needs to go on. So how do you work that into it where maybe you're out of the Fung Fellowship program, but the project still needs some work? Or do you just find a way to make it self-sustaining?
I can take this one unless you want to, Adrian.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll add on.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, based on my personal experience, I've only been in the fellowship for less than a year at this point. But even going back to the project where I talked about earlier in this session, where we worked with the Tang Center and the peer counseling organization, and we actually, within the timeline of our project, didn't get past a prototype of that website. But my team and I are continuing to be in contact with them and still kind of continuing out our efforts to fully do the implementation part of that. But I also know that there are other previous Fung Fellowship students who have gone on to make their projects into startups and into kind of more concrete things, but also some kind of leave the way to pass down to other people, or like you mentioned in your question, create really self-sustaining solutions, because ultimately, if we're focusing on community empowerment, we don't want to have to be always stepping in to take care of that.
Yeah, thanks, Emma. And I'll just add on. So each of these projects have different project lengths. And for example, sometimes like for one project, we might have 10 teams of fellows working on with the same partner with the same question. Other times we have one project partner working directly with one team. So depending on the solution and depending on where the program is at, whether it's directly ready to go in implementation stage, whether there's a synthesizing, sustaining stage, it really depends on the community and our area of impact.
Thank you.
Of course.
I had another question. So
Great.
I hear a lot of you guys are coming from like technical backgrounds, and as somebody who's also from a more technical background, I was wondering you guys could share what kind of roles you guys played on your teams and how your background has helped you with that.
Yeah, so for my project that I just talked about, the Mar Alliance one where we were doing gillnet fishing and figuring that out, I was one of the technical people on the team. So my role was working with Figma, which is a UI platform. And I was able to, it was a lot of like teaching my teammates how to use them because I wanted to make sure that everyone was on the same page and like I wasn't just running the whole thing. And I think that's another thing that's good about the fellowship. Like, even if you don't have the most technical knowledge, you're going to learn from your teammates and everyone's going to empower each other and teach each other. But yeah, I've worked with Figma, and then on this upcoming project, I have a feeling that we're going to be doing a lot of data collection, data cleaning, and data scraping. So probably working with Python, but again, something I'll explain to all my teammates to make sure like we all know what's going on.
Yeah, and I can add on to that. I don't have that much technical skill set myself, but one of the great things about working in the teams is that everyone brings like their own resources, their own traits, their own valuable qualities to the team. And within our teams, we all work to find each other's strengths and how we can highlight that. So everyone brings something different to the table, but like we really dive into like bringing out everyone's strengths.
Maybe one more question. I know we're almost a minute to 5 Pacific time, at least for those on the West Coast. If we don't have one, I might just ask one general question to the panel. What has been what impact has the fellowship made on your undergraduate experience so far? One semester and a few weeks in, what impact has it made? Maybe especially during a virtual year, the caveat.
Yeah, for sure. I can definitely talk about this a little bit. So I definitely come from a little bit of like a technical background. I've done a lot of work in like industry type and like wanted to learn about e-commerce and whatever. But a lot of what the fellowship has taught me is a lot of like design and how like that thinking, the problem solving, the critical analysis of like solutions and going about those is applicable to pretty much anywhere you go. And so I would go to this one place and I submit my resume or whatever, and they look at it and they're like, what is human-centered design? Like, what does that mean? Like, how can you bring that to the team, and like, what would that do for us? And a lot of times they're like very like, wow, that's so interesting. Like, what brought you here? Like, what was the main drive to be learning all these different skill sets that you get in the fellowship? And a lot of that is really a baseline of like collaboration and then learning from other fellows. And that is a skill set that goes for anywhere that you will apply to. And there's definitely more focus on that team aspect of how to solve a lot of issues, especially in my career interest, is like AI. And so it's definitely more of like considering like human user experience and user interfaces. And so it definitely brings like that little bit more of like the technical skills, the human consideration, and then also just like problem solving in general.
For me, I think that it has really taught me how to effectively and efficiently work on a team. At Berkeley, our professors might throw us in groups for like a final project, and they don't really kind of describe the tactics and techniques to effectively lead and be a part of a team. And that's something I definitely learned in the Fung Fellowship. And that has been useful in my other projects that I've been doing over the semester. We spend a lot of time going over ways to successfully like manage a team and be an active participant. And especially with Zoom and being online, it really has helped me, and it has carried over to just like professional development over Zoom. Like it's given me a lot of different and new techniques to use.
A minute over, but just quickly here to kind of echo that, I would say also kind of among all the things I've been involved with, at least this year, the Fung Fellowship out of everything has been the most kind of rewarding remote experience I've had. To touch on that a little bit, like I think that they do a really good job, especially towards the beginning, in trying to cultivate an environment where you can say what you're thinking and it's okay to fail and to really embrace each other's strengths. And I think that has been huge in helping me feel like even though literally most of these people I've never met not on a computer are like kind of my friends. And like my last design challenge group, we actually were able to meet up socially distanced at a park through Berkeley, and it was so fun. Yeah, and so I think hopefully that won't be the case for any of you guys next year, but if it is, they do a great job making it feel a little bit less draining than other online school tends to.
And I'll be super quick because we're over time, but through the guest speakers and meeting the other students and our instructors, I've kind of like been able to see new career pathways that I didn't really know were even like open to me before I like saw this new field of technology and like the roles that the applications technology has in the environmental sector, which has been exciting for me just going into this field, knowing like all the new innovative things that are happening like as we speak, as technology is getting better and better. But yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you all for staying a few minutes over, and thank you again to our panelists and our staff that are here, Jennifer Mancold and Dan Zevin. We really look forward to reading your applications and are really, there's an open door. I dropped a link in the chat to coffee chats if you'd like to talk one-on-one with a fellow. Feel free to email the Fung Fellowship email, fungfellowship@berkeley.edu, with any questions and to connect with staff. And again, thank you all for being here. We're excited by your interest and really just wish you all the best.